sunshine day here in Munich. I know in Paris it's not as sunny right now, but
Yeah,
uh,
I'm looking forward to
yeah.
getting a little bit more of that for myself.
Excellent. So, welcome. Hi, everybody. My name is Carsten. You're watching or listening to our Lean 42 live at LinkedIn or recording afterwards. We at Lean 42, we are CIO advisors in Europe and North America. And we are also hosting the Lean Leader Summit in 2 weeks in Munich. And today I am very excited to have Leslie Robinet with me. She's from MEGA. And Leslie, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Thanks, Karsten. Me too. I'm excited to see you and a whole other troop of people in a really short time in Munich. I have a background in enterprise architecture, before which I was an industrial systems engineer. So I've been really driven by a systemic approach since I was probably quite small, and really delighted there exists professions where you can do that all the time, understanding how things fit together and trying to, imagine a different possible sustainable future. So my background is 20 years in the US and a little more than 20 years now living in Europe. I'm based in Paris, work at MEGA International on the services side. So we're a software editor and also accompanying services for enterprise architecture, governance, risk, and compliance.
Excellent, cool, and we're very excited to have you back. The last time you spoke about sustainability, also a
Yes.
topic dear to my heart. But
Mhm.
I'm excited about this year, also focusing on kind of like the um, scope beyond kind of like
Mhm.
enterprise architecture, and
Yeah.
you you came up with that kind of like leveraging the three Ps. So can you give us kind of like a little bit insight into what was kind of like your epiphany, or how did you kind of like came up with that, and what's kind of
Sure,
like
yeah.
uh,
I love that you mentioned sustainability. Yes, I was really lucky to be able to come and meet you guys and intervene at the conference to talk about sustainability, because I believe that enterprise architecture and sustainability have a really strong resonance together. And in sustainability, there's the famous three Ps, which is people, planet, profit, where we establish that when you're moving forward in a sustainable way for an organization, so an organization that's resilient and has success in the future, it's that it's considering not just economic aspects, but the different resources that it needs from planet and from people. So since that's something really anchored in my value system and in my understanding, I was mirroring that with what I've been seeing a lot in enterprise architecture projects over my 18 professional years of experience. So I'm not just working either directly or indirectly on getting people started. Okay, so setting up an EA practice. There's a
hmm,
lot of that, and that's super important. And it's actually a topic that many have addressed. So how do I get started? How do I get started? But what I wanted to take a look at this time is not just when you get started, but how do you go further? Okay, a lot get started, but then they kind of hit this sort of glass ceiling and they can't seem to get beyond application portfolio management, to be transparent. So it's really important to have a foundation, an EA baseline to start somewhere, and consolidation is already a really big success, right?
hmm,
But what I wanted to do in this kind of analysis and that I'm going to share at the conference is, so why would you want to do more than that? What does that look like? What are the different axes that you pursue so that that is a success? Because the real, like, strong value from EA comes from going beyond just managing your IT. Okay.
hmm,
So these three perspectives, the three P's that I wanted to apply here, just to play around with play on words, are
hmm,
people, but also perspective. So not just looking at the as is, but looking at the to be, transformation. Okay. So that's another P. And then the perimeter, which is like the scope. So
hmm.
not staying as limited on only applications and technologies, but around the use cases, around the business. So that's what we're going to explore together, and I'm looking forward to also the reactions of the different participants about what they've seen, about how they've overcome those hurdles, or maybe they're still confronted with them. But yeah, trying to break that glass ceiling and really get stronger value from the EA practice.
Wow, excellent. I really like kind of like the expanding part of that, and
Mm.
just because if you watch this live, you can actually comment, and we try to answer this. If you watch the recording, we still ask questions, and Leslie and I will monitor also
You
the
talk
chat
at the
here.
conference
Yes,
too.
Correct.
Please.
And that's the third part. You can come to the conference and then learn more and chat more about it. But if you comment here, we will look into that. And again, I mentioned it already, the Lean Leader Summit coming up in 2 weeks in Munich. So join us there for more as well.
Mhm.
Short side block here, but let's focus or look a little bit about kind of like the expanding and the three Ps. What is kind of like especially when it comes to the scoping?
Mhm.
Is it something where you've seen one scope expanding being kind of like the best one to start with, or is it more something
Mm.
to also know them all, to know which one is probably the scope that you should like expand in? Um, I really think or love the idea of that EA is way more than just application portfolio management, and you are at a linchpin kind of like position as an enterprise architecture practice in an organization, and you need to kind of like combine and bring lots of perspectives together. So tell us a little bit more about kind of like what kind of perspectives you see, or is there one to start with, or
Okay.
what's
Okay, first of all, there are a lot, but you don't have to master all of them or do all of them to be useful, to be influential, and to make a difference in the organization. In fact, quite the contrary. Sometimes, and in the past, people felt like, oh, there's just too much to look at, and so we need to not pursue that. Okay, it was kind of scary, and maybe even 10 years ago, it was a bit too much to bite into. But now there's a lot of tools, industry content, methods, even leveraging AI that let us move forward more smart, and we can have a holistic approach without it being an academic approach. So the first and most important step is to look at what are the challenges and opportunities in the organization. You don't
Mhm,
just do a use case because it's a good use case to do. Okay, it's
mhm,
you do it because that's what your company or your private organization, your public organization is facing, and then the value that you could bring, and step by step. Okay, so at the beginning, the best starting point is the consolidation of an inventory of applications, technologies, responsibilities. That's a way to pull in some stakeholders, and have content that can be useful, that can provide outcomes to already demonstrate the value of the baseline of EA. But then when you want to move forward, it's what are the additional stakeholders that you could pull in to continue to have pertinent content and inputs and involve them, so they aren't just benefiting from the deliverables but participating. Okay,
mhm,
and typically you could say from an APM standpoint, the next step would be rationalization or technological obsolescence management. But then beyond that, you can lean on that existing data to say, well, how can we look into data? So what data is being transferred and manipulated in these different steps between these different assets? And we want to go into kind of a data security angle, or so you're involving the data office. You can involve data privacy people. There's just trying to stay not within the confines of IT and pure cost management, which is already, again, really important. And if you don't start there, it's really hard to get some traction. But then another angle to move off to that tends to work really well, we've seen, is involving the business owners behind the applications. So if you've done from an IT view, capability assessments and things like that, you need to expand your capability vision to also not just IT capabilities, but the company's reasons to be,
mm,
pulling in those representing the business that are using this to do what the company wants to do, not just make money, but and not shut their doors. But so it's a change in kind of angle and perspective, and involving different actors and learning to dialogue with these different internal stakeholders. It's not easy because it's a lot easier to stay with people that we know and people that we can master. But
mm.
yeah, it's step by step, and that's the approach that we have at Mega. Yeah, that's the approach that I've also had in my professional experiences. Don't take off more than you can chew, but leverage what you have to add in just piece by piece, and then you'll see you've constructed quite an amazing castle.
Hmm. Amazing, cool. I'm so excited to have you at the conference and talk more about it. And I think it's so important to get those pieces and nuggets on where you could expand or how you could grow. And it is something where I've seen like conferences like ours, but also others. So just go to any of the conferences. Really, it's about learning and growing and kind of like getting that input that you would not get from kind of like just reading something on the internet, because you can like talk to.
Mm.
I really like also how you, like the last time I saw you kind of like chatting with lots of people, and like the breaks, and kind of like people coming to you and asking lots of more questions. So
Me
that's kind
too.
of
I loved it. What I think is really great that I observed the last time I was at the conference with you guys is the mix, the diversity in the topics that
mm,
are being addressed. So I have a very technical background. I love technical stuff. I want to see the nitty gritty. I want to see what's really going on underneath, how it all fits together. But also, people are really important. People understanding how the people, human dynamics. And so I love that you were highlighting some speakers that were almost like 100% focusing just on how do we succeed change management with regards to humans in an organization. How do you motivate people? How do you and that is one of the angles I was mentioning for the EA expansion is the
people.
people. And if
Yeah,
you can't
one
do
of the
that,
P's.
it's all gonna
Yeah,
it's not gonna say it's no point, but these different axes, they are have a synergy together. So
yeah.
you need all the pieces for it to really flourish. And so I really think that mix of points of view and considerations. It's not just let's just talk about soft skills all day. It's soft skills, hard skills. It's got the nitty gritty. It's got the good experiences, but also the bad experiences. People saying, that pitfall. Let me tell you what the big mistake I made. I think it's a real lovely demonstration of a lot of interesting and amazing people with great sense of humility, but great feedback on experience that was really rich. I made a lot of great contacts, and I'm excited to see some of them coming back again this time. And it's I'm not going to say it's extremely rare, but it's not common, because typically I've seen in other conferences a specialization that's so focused that you don't get that
Hmm.
connected kind of holistic
Yeah,
view. So there we go. We resonate on that, I think.
yeah. No, thank you. It's great feedback, or great insights also for potential. If you are not coming to the Lean Leader Summit yet, join us in 2 weeks. If you like this recording or missed the beginning of it, all of our talks are also available in our Lean Academy, so you can like grow your knowledge. And I think the growing of people, growing your knowledge, growing your insights, and getting kind of like new perspectives is I think one of the P's, the people that you mentioned.
Mm.
Coming back to that, what is something where you feel, especially for EA, the people part is kind of like lacking or needs to grow more?
I think we could do better about our communication skills. I think that sometimes we forget about the timing and also the adapted communication and function of those that are in front of us. Especially if EA was born in a certain group of people who have a certain vocabulary, a certain set of preoccupations. So expanding a bit our comprehension, our compassion of putting ourselves in other people's shoes. And I've enjoyed also recently a lot of discussions. I don't know on LinkedIn if you've seen them too. There's a lot of talk about the transverse and soft skills required to succeed in EA, and
Mm,
I think this is an important thing to take a look at. There's also this sense of being able to connect the dots, taking a step back. That's also a soft skill that isn't just technical systemic approach. Because if you want to break the silos and not just optimize one piece, but see how they're connected, and that requires more time, more consideration. So I would say that for the people, there's this kind of a people skills that we need to recognize, but also the variety of people that you're implicating in your EA initiative. So trying to, as much as possible, see the whole and not the parts when it comes to even departments. That starts by being visible. So if you're not visible, then you're going to have a less hard, a less easy success in
mm,
proposing new things to others. So
mm,
it's going to start by just existing, and then they know you exist. Then you can be kind of force of proposition to others. Say, this is what I could do to you for you. What do you think? And then as you move forward, you find others are coming to you. So recently, an interesting anecdote. So we work with an organization in France who said that he does that it's his corporate social responsibility department came to him and said, hey, you already manipulate the IT of our organization, the process of our organization. We're wondering what could you do for us and with us so we could better manage our CSR strategy and make that visible in the organization. So you're already visible. So how do
mhm,
we hop on that? So you become,
mm,
instead of being just push, you can even fall into a pull, which is ideal, people
mhm,
coming to
mhm,
you. But it's possible, and it really happens. And but it's step by step. It doesn't just, you don't just wake up one day and everybody's knocking at your door. And that requires a certain level of, again, empathy and patience
mm,
and attentiveness, active listening.
mm,
And active listening isn't just, I'm going to do this because it's a great thing and I read it on LinkedIn. But again, staying focused on the current challenges and opportunities in the organization. So you have to kind of listen.
uh, yeah, I like kind of like the um how as a enterprise architect or like a team of enterprise architects have to kind of like be visible, how you phrased it, and be seen. So, and I think it's important for two reasons. One is kind of like it helps you to like communicate your message and kind of like do the influencing. I really like
Mhm.
to call kind of like EA more like as an influencing discipline than kind of like a governance discipline. So
Yes.
um, helping people make better decisions that are more long term or better for the whole organization, not just kind of like a single project. So you're influencing the organization for long term and congruent better places. But
Mhm.
the other thing with the visibility, and I think the influencing helps there as well, is really to get other people's to think of connecting with you. I had when I ran EA at Freddie Mac, it was kind of like also the privacy office came actually proactively to us and say like, hey, I need like, how can I manage, where do I have PII information, and I need to like cover all my privacy constraints or controls, and how can like EA, where you already have a lot of data, kind of like help me to fulfill my kind of like requirements. And was a very good mutual partnership. And all those partnerships around you actually help you to gain more visibility. So it's kind of like a
Virtuous
spiral,
cycle.
vicious cycle. So it really helps with growing more, and then the next one comes and your data gets better because you have kind of like another angle that checks it and works with it,
Mhm.
and already then tells you like, hey, for this process, I think this is not the owner anymore or whatever it is. So you
Mhm.
increase your data quality
Yeah.
for many other stakeholders because you work with some of them very strongly together. And that really comes back to having good people skills and working with the whole organization and being visible. I like the visible part.
Well, if they can't see what you have to offer, what, not just the services you have to offer, but the information that you have to offer, the connections you've already identified, how can they know that they could work with you and that it could bring something new? But I also consider the people themselves that are currently maybe a bit in a closet or not suffocated, but
Mm,
limited in what they're capable of doing. So what I hope is that we can also give some perspective to people, give some hope to people to say, my profession to being an enterprise architect is something that can be seen as valuable, that can be recognized,
mm,
that I won't have to always be limited in this, and that it can give them a source of inspiration. Because I think
mm,
that's also contagious when once you've caught on that you've got that kind of excitement and energy that you want to put towards results, and that you can, that really helps send out the positive vibes. um, I think that there's some that are not getting as much as they could out of this profession.
mm,
So I'd like to see, I mean, already we've seen a shift in the last 5 years or so in how enterprise architecture is being perceived, and enterprise architects as not just a, technical people in a corner or with the door shut that know everything and are,
No.
but amongst themselves. There is a shift in the value seen for the
Yeah.
profession, but I just hope that people can feel that and live that change themselves in wherever that they're intervening. I was really lucky because I worked in professional services. So in consulting, I'm not limited to just my own organization.
Mm.
There's hundreds of clients customers that I've worked with that's I know you too, you've intervened in that kind of position. It lets you feel really excited about the positive change that was able to happen each time. And
Mm.
I think we are a little bit more free than in that positioning than you are when you're internally in an organization and you're trying to make change or make progress or make that happen. So maybe there'll be some people at the conference that are in different scenarios, some of them helping externally as consultants, some of them helping on a technical side, and other ones inside their own organization. And how can they apply that? How can they move against some of the inertia that's been in place, shift it a little bit?
Hmm.
I'm just recognizing that it's
Yeah.
harder for people that are in it than people who come from the outside. It's we have a bit of
Mm.
more freedom
Yeah.
as
True.
externals.
True. But then as externals, you sometimes also don't have that long-term relationships to everybody. So
That is true. And
you
you
need, I
don't
think,
have
yeah.
necessarily, even if you can try to set up the process around what's going to keep it viable in the long term,
Uh,
you're not necessarily there in the long term to see that that's happening and to
uh,
keep it alive. So
True. Exciting. So we're coming up at the hour here. So thank you so much for
thank you.
your insight, and I'm really looking forward to get you or see you at our Lean Leader Summit in 2 weeks in Munich. For the ones that are listening or watching us, if you are not yet an attendee, come sign up. There is, I think, also a last minute code for it. So we are at 90% of capacity, so we are pretty much sold out, but there are some last
There's
minute
room for
seats
you.
available. So yes, get your ticket now, and I'm really looking forward to see you, Leslie.
Me too.
And have a wonderful day.
Yes. And happy summer to everyone. It's officially summer.
Yes.
And I think it's funny. So it's not really funny, but the event's on the 4th of July, which is a special day for me as an
Yeah.
American. So I'll have my little mini fireworks that day.
Yeah, it is. We actually had to like we originally had a different date in mind, but then the Euro Cup schedule is something because Munich is also hosting a couple games.
Yes.
So we didn't want like to be at a game night
Yeah,
where
that'd be a
like
bit tricky. You'd
yeah.
lose all, you'd be like, wait, we have hundreds of people signed up. Where are they? And they're all in
Yeah.
a room watching the show.
Correct. So that's
Okay.
why like on the 3rd and the 4th you can come to the conference. There you won't miss any
Don't miss a sports
soccer
game.
or
It's
football
okay.
games, however you call it. So you're free to just learn and grow.
Yes. We'll see you
Awesome.
there and see
Awesome.
everyone in the audience there too.